Well, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you back again this week for Power Surge Empowering Journeys with Dr. Karen, as well as the people who take us along the adventure of their life and the journey and learn great things. And this week, oh my goodness, we have got the guest of guests. Now, this wonderful young lady reached out and said, "Hey, I am networking and meeting people. I'd like to get to meet you." And so we called each other, or she called me, actually, to be honest. She called me and we talked, and I fell in love instantly. She was so dynamic, so full of energy, and so full of light and information. And as we talked about her story and talked about the things she had done, I was so overwhelmed with how fabulous everything was that I said, "Okay, I've got to have you on the show." And so she graciously accepted to be on our show. So I want to welcome in the one, the only, the phenomenal Dr. Kimberley Linert. Dr. Kimberley, come on in.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to have a conversation. And my goal is to inspire people to live and create create a life that they just love. So
Oh, I love that. Now you have got quite the history and background, and I didn't want to give your bio because I didn't want to cut into any of your journey and story. But tell us a quick bio about you, and then tell us your journey, your story.
okay, well, just to start out, I grew up in Michigan. I was the oldest of three children, and I grew up in a town on the Great Lakes called Port Huron.
Okay.
And so lots of boats around, and water is really important to me. As you can see, even my background, I have beaches because I just love the water. And I knew I wanted to help people, and I thought about what did I want to be when I grow up. And I wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't like blood. And so I chose optometry, which is an eye doctor, because we
Right.
don't see a lot of blood. And once I got into school, I went into a rotation called the vision therapy rotation, where we actually work with people in a therapy center, and had a great story of someone that did really, really well. And I thought to myself, if I can just inspire people, if I can just be part of that transformation for people for the rest of my life, I'll be happy. And so I went into something called behavioral optometry, and I had a therapy center for years, and where I work with people's vision and brain. And then after doing that for over 20 years, I said, you know what? I have all this experience. I want to be able to disseminate it to more people. I don't want to die with all this wonderful stuff inside me, all this experience, all this knowledge, because I'm one of those people that I go deep, I go master things. So
Right.
I'm really good at what I do because I really master. See, I'm kind of a nerd, I know all about it, but not just knowledge wise, but experience wise. And so
Right.
I asked someone, well, what do you do to disseminate information if you want to help a lot of people? And they said, well, you become a speaker and you write a book. So I did that, and then a few years later, I started my podcast and YouTube channel, and here we are. I'm just doing the best I can to help as many people as I can.
Oh, and you do a fabulous job. Do you have your book there with you that you can show
I
everyone?
do. Mhm.
Hey, Jace, get this up. I like that. Visualizing happiness. It's one of those things you've got to do. And the book is fabulous. So, everybody, get the book. Get the book, get the book. And your podcast, oh my goodness, you have got guests coming out of the woodwork, people dying to be on your podcast. Do you have the link to your podcast that we can give people so they can listen to your podcast?
Yeah, the easiest one is just go to YouTube and you find it. It's also on all the podcast platforms, but YouTube, I like that because you can see people like we're on this now,
Right,
and I can see you talking. But it's
right.
also on any major podcast um, network, and it's just Incredible Life Creator with Dr. Kimberly Linert.
Okay, Jace, if you can type that in, incredible life was a
Creator.
creator. I was going to say learner, and I knew that wasn't it. Incredible life creator. And make sure we get that up there because I know everybody's going to want to go to your podcast and listen to it. Um, I've listened to it and I'm impressed. You got a lot of great information and things, people that are on that. So, everybody, jump on and listen to her podcast. Well, you serve people, and you do, and you're a phenomenal speaker, by the way. I love listening to you, but I I kind of am interested if you are if it's not against the Hippocratic Oath to tell us a story about the miracle that you saw that encouraged you to do the behavioral therapy with the eyes.
Right. So when I tell stories, I always change names because it's very important patient privacy.
Right.
And so I usually just change names and then nobody knows who it would be. But when I was up in optometry school, I was in the clinic where we would work with people's vision and eyes to get the eyes to coordinate together properly. And a little boy came in, about 9 years old. We'll call him Darren. And Darren was his family lived in the projects. They came in and they said, you have this problem with your eyes not coordinating together. You need some therapy. Well, mom, of course, really didn't have much money.
Right.
And they had a sliding scale, but she came in, she paid her little bit she had to pay, and I would work with him for an hour, and then I'd send him home and I'd say, you have to do these things when you get home, you have to do them every day. And so he was doing that. Now, when he first came in, he was very shy, kind of looked down at the floor, always very polite, sweet little boy, but you could tell he didn't have a lot of self-confidence.
Right.
And after a couple months, 2, 3 months, probably 2.5 months, he came in and he was like happy. In fact, the last couple weeks had been like really happy. He'd come up, his face is up, he's smiling, he's bright, he's sunny. And I said, Darren, you know, have you noticed anything change once we started working doing this? Because I was new. He was my first patient in this area.
Oh,
I was new.
wow.
I didn't know what was supposed to happen either, honestly. I just was following what I was taught. And he said, well, yes. I said, well, what is it? He said, well, I don't feel stupid anymore. And I said,
Oh.
what do you mean you don't feel stupid anymore? He said, well, in the past, when I had to read out loud in class, everybody laughed at me because I couldn't read. He said, but now I can read and nobody laughs at me. And that just like hit my heart. And I'm like, oh, if I can just do this over and over again to help people really take back their self confidence, their self love,
Yeah.
their self worth, and know that they can do things, if I can just do that over and over. And that's basically what I did. I
Yeah.
went and I opened a therapy practice.
I love that. Well, I know you're all about service. In fact, we talked about this before. Um, that you would find people that maybe needed a little bit of a pick me up when you had a group of friends there in college. I would love, 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 love it if you would share that with our audience.
Sure. So I went to a small college in Michigan called Spring Arbor College. It was a Christian college, and we had maybe 1,000 people on campus. So it was nice. A lot of people knew each other, and I had a group that I was in that every week we would get together, and it was called the Encouragers Group. And what we would do is we would put together these little care packages with a note, and during the week we all were kind of had our eyes and ears out. We were looking for anyone who looked kind of discouraged or down or sad, or we knew something happened, or death in the family, something where they weren't feeling their best. And we
Right.
would put together these little care packages with a little note to encourage them and tell them, we're thinking about you, we're praying for you, and we hope this will help you feel happier. And it was anonymous. We just say from the Encouragers Club. And so people would get
Oh.
these. to brighten their day. And you know, they didn't knew nobody knew who we were either. And so some of us got to witness people opening their mailboxes and getting them, and we'd come
Oh,
back to the group
awesome.
and share and say if we saw it. But a lot of times we didn't see what was happening, but we just wanted to encourage people.
I love that so much. I I think it's important that we encourage people and that we show that love. And you've done it through your practice, you've done it through your podcast, through your book,
Mhm.
and of course, the stuff you did then. But I'm certain that there was a beginning point that made you say, I want to serve people. I want to be nice. I want to encourage people in their life. Can you share? Can you think back to when that happened and share that with us?
I really think it just had to do with my examples. So, my parents are some of the most giving, generous people I know. So, my dad was very frugal, so really careful with money. And, when we went out to eat, which is not that often, but we went out to eat, we wouldn't drink like soda because we wanted to save money. So, they were very frugal, but
Yeah.
they were very generous when it came to giving, like to Christian organizations, to helping organizations, but they were especially giving of their time. I mean, there was a lot of times when we had holidays and there was people I didn't know were there because they were invited. And
Yeah.
I remember them um, saying, after we had our Christmas morning, they would go either that day or the night before, and they were taking gifts to families that didn't have any. And they were always volunteering their time. I mean, my
Uh-huh.
mom and dad were Sunday school teachers. Both of them were Sunday school teachers their whole life. And even now, my dad's 80, my mom's 78. Everywhere they go, they have a Bible study. Why? Because they want to get people together, not only to tell them about God, but to have that socialization to support people. And so I've had, my parents are just some of the most loving, giving people. And so it was just, I think, natural for me.
Right.
I just thought that's the way you do life, is
Yeah.
you help other people and support other people.
If somebody grew up in a different atmosphere, what would you tell them to encourage them to be of service and the benefits that you have found from doing that?
Wow. So,
Yeah, I asked tough questions. Sorry about
yeah, that is a tough
that.
question. That is a tough question. The thing is, the fastest way to feel better if you're feeling down is to go help someone else. That's
Yeah,
one thing. So there's a lot of fulfillment in actually serving other people.
right.
But also, when you serve other people and they come out as their best person, they come out of that sadness or difficulty, then they are able to be their best self in the world so they can share what they have. It might not be reciprocal. A lot of times it's not. But that person can then go and, what do they call it, pass it on. They can they can
Yeah,
pass it on to the next person. So when everyone is looking out for each other, we just have a much nicer society.
yeah, I like that. I read a book a long time ago, probably yeah, probably 45, 50 years ago. I was just a kid. And it was called Leverage Point. And they talked about helping other people, not so that they will help you back, but just to be helpful. But they also talked about when you help other people and somebody else needs help, you can go to them and say, hey, can you help this other person? And
Mhm,
that's where the leverage comes in. And it's not, I want you to do something for me. It's, I just want to do something for you. If you do something else, great. If you don't, great. But
mhm,
do, when the time came, my son's perfect at this. If you need a free set of tires for your truck, Ask
Mhm.
my son because he knows somebody that wants to give them to you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and I use that one because that actually happened. But if you need anything, just say, hey, do you know somebody that could help me out with this? And sure as I'm alive, somebody says, oh, Joey, for you. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And I know you're that kind of person because you do so much that people are like, oh, what can I do for you when you say, can you help me? Yeah, yeah.
That makes
So,
so much sense because, I, at this point, because of the podcast and everything, and even before that, I have a pretty big network of people. And I really love connecting people with other people who can benefit each other in some way or just if they need help. And I remember I told my friend Yvette, she was a newer friend, and I said, "Yeah, I'll connect you with some people that I think can help you," because she had some big projects going on for people
uh-huh.
with disabilities, because she was
Mm-hmm.
became wheelchair bound after an accident, and so she's
Mm,
working in that area. And I think I maybe recommended maybe 5 people to help her and talk to her about some different things. And every one of them immediately reached out to her.
yeah.
And she said, I couldn't believe it. She said, all the people you sent my way, they came to me. They had long conversations with me. They were trying to figure out any way possible they could help me.
Uh-huh.
And she was just like amazed that, a lot of people say they're going to recommend people or whatever, but when people come and they're there to serve, they're not just there to pretend to help. They
Right.
are there and they really want to serve.
I love that. What would you say is your favorite act of service that you've seen, done, received? Just your favorite act of service that you know about.
Oh gosh, you do ask really deep questions because it makes me go back in my memory.
Yeah.
Um, gosh,
See, this is how everyone knows this is not scripted.
yeah, it's definitely not scripted. I mean, there's so many examples of that. I mean, I think of again back to my family. So my parents are always going to the nursing home, even when they didn't know people there. My grandmother did the same thing. And then when my grandmother got older, my dad, even though it was 45 minutes away, every day he went to visit his mom and play cards for a couple hours, even though he had things to
Oh,
do because he wanted to spend
yeah.
time with his mom. So I think I think quality time is so important. And you can give money or you can give free tires or you can give this, but quality time where you're actually just talking to the person, finding out not just what their needs are, but what their dreams are, or what they're thinking about, or just giving them attention, because I think attention is one of the most important currencies. You know,
Right.
the currency of attention. Everybody wants some, even if you say you're a hermit, even if you say you're an introvert, a very shy person. I don't care how shy you are. You want to be acknowledged. You want someone to notice that you're there. Even if you're too shy to talk back, you still want someone to say, hi, how are you? And I think that's another really great act of service. No matter where you are, is you say hello to people, even if you don't know them. I mean, when I'm walking by on the sidewalk, I say hi to people. Sometimes they say hi back. Sometimes they ignore me. Sometimes they look at me funny, like do I know you? But I think it's really important. And I actually learned that from my uncle. We live on uh, like I said, on the Great Lakes, and uh, he had a boat, and he loved being on the boat all the time. And no matter who it was, if we're in the boat, we're waving to all the other people in the boat. I'm like, do you know them? He said, no, but you always want to wave to all your fellow boaters because you're out there together, and we're here on the earth. We're in it. We're here together, and we need to come together and do the best we can to help everyone be as happy and fulfilled as they can be.
I love that. And smiling. I talked about this on my podcast, Karenisms, a couple weeks ago. But
Mhm.
smiling is a form of laughter,
Right.
and smiling and waving now gives you that real. Um, it solidifies that you're smiling when you're waving, and it lets other
Mhm.
people say, "Oh, they're smiling at me specifically."
Mhm.
But they're contagious, and smiling does. It's one of the fundamentals for overcoming depression, for having a better day, for self-esteem. And the fact that
Mhm.
you smile at people like that, they may look at you weird, and I've had that happen too.
Mhm.
Or they go, "Oh, hi," like they know you, and you're smiling because you know you don't know who they are from. So, um, but they're like, "Well, they looked at me and smiled. They must know me." Um, but smiling changes their day,
Mhm.
because now they've smiled, and it changes their chemical makeup, and it changes their emotional makeup. And so I love that you do that, that you smile and wave at people, and you smile at them as you're walking down the sidewalk. And have
Yeah.
you ever smiled at someone in the grocery store and then they stop and talk to you for about nothing?
Oh yeah, I've made a lot of friends that way. That or else I just see somebody, I don't know, either I see them interesting or I see them looking a little down, and I'll just go right up and talk to them, which is weird because I grew up very shy. But when it comes to my curiosity overcomes my shyness sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I've always kind of been that way, that shy little girl, but at the same time I'll go up to a stranger and say hi. What's she
Hi.
doing? Like one day we were actually at the hospital when my grandmother was she was sick, and we went down to the place where they had the cafeteria, and there was a gentleman there in a Harley Davidson type leather thing, and but he had this really cool purple t-shirt and this purple head thing he was wearing. And I went up to him. I said, "Oh, I really love that purple. It looks really great on you." He was like, "Oh yeah, thanks." So I started having a conversation with him and seeing, why he was there and who was, you know, and my mom goes, "Oh, there she goes talking to another stranger." My dad does the same thing, and he was very shy growing up too. And then now he talks to everyone.
Do you find that you meet some very interesting people and learn things that you wouldn't learn if you just kept to yourself?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's what I love about it. I mean, I love my podcasting because I get to hear people's stories. But one time I asked a friend, I was trying to learn more about myself, and one of the questions was, "What is something unique about you?" Or, I was asking him, "What is unique about me that other people might not know or might not realize?" And he said, "You are interested in people so much that they can be speaking about the most boring, mundane thing, and you are glued on their face, looking at them, interested, and wanting to know how that works. How does that work? How does manufacturing a tire work?
Uh-huh.
I'm just interested in them. I'm interested in why they find that interesting, even if it's
Uh-huh.
not my topic or my area. I'm I want to know what it is that makes them like that, and some people have told me some really interesting things.
Well, and there are things that you wouldn't have just randomly been told, because everybody's experience is a little bit different.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody that is going, "Yeah, I'm not going to talk to a stranger"? Um, because some people are like, "I'm not going to talk to a stranger." But what advice would you give them where they don't have to talk to a stranger, but they still open up that possibility for lines of communication?
Hmm. You know what flashed in my mind? This is a really old movie, the black and white version, My Fair Lady. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie, but
I
he was
do.
coaching this girl from the streets to be a star. And he said, I just want you to walk and smile, because he was trying to show her to be this fine lady.
Right.
And she was walking in front of them. And instead of smiling, she was making this weird face. And so he thought he was smiling and she was getting good reactions because she was making a funny face, but she was just making everybody laugh. So everybody going by her was laughing and laughing. He's like, oh man, she's doing great. She's making everybody laugh. So
Oh,
sometimes you don't even have to say something, but you might just do a quick smile, or even if even when you're walking down the street, especially if you're in like I've worked in the West End, where it's like inner city, you don't always want to keep smiling at somebody.
yeah.
But even if you're walking down the street and you make eye contact for 1 second and then just keep walking, that
Mm-hmm.
person has been acknowledged. So maybe you're too
Yeah.
shy to say something, but just practice just making eye contact for just 1 second and then go
Yeah.
back. Um,
I like that. And adding to that, because that's wonderful advice. When I was 18, I had the opportunity to take the Greyhound bus from one end of the country to the other end. And one of my mentors said, if you want to be safe, if you see people that look a little suspect, don't run across the street and walk on the other side of the street. Keep walking on that side of the street, look them straight in the eye, give them just a slight smile and a nod, and keep walking. And he says 9 out of 10 times they're wonderful people. And the 10th time, if they are a perpetrator, they now know that you've seen them and can identify them. And so they're going to leave you alone. And so, I mean, it was like, oh, but I met more friends from just smiling and nodding at somebody. And like you said, at the grocery store, there at the bus station. I mean, I had some interesting people just come and sit with me and said, oh, you're so friendly. I just wanted to sit with you. And I'm, an 18-year-old kid going, why would you want to sit with me? Uh, but it's because they felt acknowledged. Like you said, people
Mhm,
just need to feel acknowledged and like they matter.
mhm. And they do.
And they do. Well, tell me
Mhm,
some of the other things. I would like to hear some of your experiences since, well, actually, I want to hear some more of your experience when you were an optometrist and doing and now I've gone blank on the words, but doing
the
the
behavioral
therapy,
optometry.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
behavioral.
Yeah. So I worked with all sorts of people, anywhere from people who are autistic, learning problems, to people who were highly athletic. They're great at athletics, to even CEOs of companies. And they came in for different reasons. Some people came in because they needed to rehabilitate some things because they weren't able to do what they needed to do. Some people
Right.
came in for enhancement because people who are already good at sports, those are the ones who usually ended up there. And regardless of who they were, I would assess to see, okay, where are they right now?
Right.
What can they do now easily? And where do they want to go? And so some of them were like higher levels. So a lot of times I've had people up on a balance board doing things, and some of my athletes, they could go on balance boards that were like 6 inches high and still balance.
Yeah.
And then I had kids that came in, and I remember a little boy, I asked him, I want you to bounce this ball. Well, he didn't have enough balance, even though he walked around fine, but he didn't have enough balance. He could not bounce a ball and um and stand up. So I said, okay, lean up against the wall. Now bounce the ball. Oh, he could do it. Then I said, okay, we're
Yeah.
going to get you on this mini trampoline. Well, guess what? His balance was so bad that he couldn't even, that little bit of play in the trampoline, he was falling
Oh,
over. So I had his mom help me, and we each took a hand. I said, "Okay, now you're on now you're on the tramp, and let's just not even take your feet off of the tramp, but let's just bounce a little bit. Let's just bounce a little bit." So you start from where people are, and the key to vision and changing things from your brain and just getting sustainable change is it needs to be you need to have a lot of wins. So you want the person to have success. You always start where they're successful. I don't care how low it is or how high it is. You start where someone's successful and you get them some wins. And then you just go up a little bit of a gradient and give them a little challenge.
Uh-huh.
And they start to get it. And then when they're getting it really well, then you give them a little bit more challenge and you bring them up a little bit higher. But the idea is challenge, but at the same time, when if anyone wants to have better vision or see better, I'm telling you, it's the effortlessness. People think, well, I'm going to squint and I'm going to do this and try and see better, and that is wrong. Well, you might when you squint, you bring the light rays down to a
Oh.
couple, and so you do see better. Like if you squint or if you do this, you do see a little bit better, but that's not really the way to overall have better vision as far as seeing everything in your environment. You want effortlessness. So you want to breathe, relax, lower your shoulders. And then you want to turn on your central vision, which is what you identify with and clarify with and focus with, and keep that turned on at the same time you have your peripheral or your side vision turned on, because that's how you navigate, keep your balance, and that's how you see all the possibilities. So if you're really focused on something, like you have a goal but you don't know how to get there because you can't see any of the roads, how are you going to get there? So you
Right.
need to keep your focus at the same time being very open to what's in the world. And so, even now, not even in therapy, as I work with people, I'm showing them how to use their vision that way, but also to integrate that into making decisions. Because when you can see all the different possibilities, you make decisions with ease and comfort and relaxation.
Right.
And so, but that's what I'm doing. I'm finding out what is the person's goal, what did they want to get to, and then I create that path for them to get there. And I do that by breaking down the habits or things that are not serving them, that are not working well, implementing something new, just like a new tennis swing, and
Uh-huh.
then having them practice it till it's automatic. So at first, they're getting a little frustrated sometimes when I'm breaking things down, and they might even get a little frustrated when they're learning that new swing. But once they practice it, and practice is not just practice, um, intentional practice, practicing things correctly over and over again. And whenever you're practicing, there's days when you practice really well, and there's days when you practice really poorly, and you think, oh, I'm not getting it. But the thing is, the brain's learning even when you're not getting good results. The brain is still learning. So the key is consistent practice, progressing ingredients little by little until you get to where you want to go, and then you make it automatic. And then it's integrated into your life, because these physiological things I'm teaching and training people to do, it goes into and opens up their emotional, mental, spiritual eyes also.
Mhm.
Although I don't talk about that a lot, but that's what it's doing. I'm using that to open up the person, and then the layers start coming away. Oh, I can do this. And once they can do that, they say, oh, I can do this. And they feel more confidence. So the whole reason I do what I do is because I love to see people's confidence go up, their self esteem go up, their feeling that they can do anything. And as long as people don't give up, they'll get there.
I really, really like that. And that goes back to that first story with the little boy.
Hmm.
Little things at a time, and his self-confidence took him where he needed to go, and he
Hmm.
had hope.
Right.
He had hope. Um, so that's great advice. With smiling at people, Have you found that it changes you internally at all, or is it just that you know it's the right thing to do and you truly care and are curious about people?
It's a little both. So, for example, when I come on a podcast like this, I'm so excited to be here that when I'm smiling, I'm feeling like a winner. I feel like I just won because I get to come on, I get to talk to you, and I get to share with other people
Yeah.
what I can give, what I have to share. Um, and so that makes me happy. And then um, I just like seeing people happy, and I think it just comes kind of naturally for me. I know smiling doesn't come naturally for everyone,
Yeah.
but I think it's just when I feel happy, I smile. Of course, I have sad times, I have bad times, and
Yeah.
I have to pull myself back up out of there. But um, I
See,
don't know.
I see you smiling at people, and I see it actually like a candle within your heart that is warming the whole heart, and that heart is now spreading throughout your body and warming your whole body. And I see that kind of candle in you.
Mhm.
uh, and so when you smile at people, it's not just it's a warmth that comes across to people. So I want to applaud you first on that, because you're not just sharing a smile, you're sharing warmth and acceptance and acknowledgement. And
Yeah,
that's not something
just trying to love
everybody does,
people.
but
Yeah.
you got to love people like you do.
Mhm.
Well, tell us some more things about what you're doing currently. You got your podcast, you got your book, you still doing speaking, you doing coaching.
Mhm. Yes, I'm not speaking as much as I would like, so I'd like to do some speaking. So if anyone has, events where you need speakers, please contact
Yeah.
me. In fact, I just put something like that on my Facebook because I'm like, yeah, I would like to start speaking more, especially now that we're coming off of Zoom and
Yeah.
starting to actually be with people because I like being with people. And I have in my bucket list for this coming year to have a retreat because again, I like going really deep with people and helping people master things, and you really can only do that in person. You can do it virtually,
Right.
but it's not quite the same. So I
Because
really like to be able to feel the room, um, and you know that light you called it that comes out. So when I'm working with people one on one, I'm taking, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm taking that love energy and I'm just embracing the people in the room.
yeah.
I'm just holding them there in that love while I'm working with them. And so I really like in person. So if anyone has anything where I can come or even speak at your retreat, I would just love that. And the other thing is, I'm starting to work one on one with people and also a group I just started where it was really, at this point, it was by invitation only. I just
Yeah.
invited highly successful, heart centered people to come to the group. And
Uh-huh.
we go really deep. There are groups for networking and business. And I encourage the people in there. I said, you all are really successful. So you need to network with each other, but that's not what this group is for. This group is for supporting for the people who have to have this persona. You have this public face. You have to look successful on the front, but we all know there's things that we're working on in the back, and there's things that give us that true fulfillment. And so this group is for finding those deep places or find that new thing we need to do to create that fulfillment, to create that joy in our lives.
Oh, I love that. That that is something that is something that really puts you on the path to fulfillment. And
Mhm.
yeah, because you need to do those deep conversations with yourself and with other people. And something like that helps you with that. And you know what, folks, you don't
Mhm.
have to wait to be invited to a group. Start one of your own.
Mhm.
You know, put a thing on Facebook saying, hey, I want to start this group. Anybody interested? You'd be surprised at the people that are interested. And if not, call your three closest neighbors and have it be a group of four and just go for it. But I
Mhm.
love that you've done that and that you're just going for it. Tell me about your one on one work with people.
So it's a little different. I do have a background as far as I'm highly trained in NLP and hypnosis, so I have that. And a lot of people actually have that kind of training. But because I do the vision, I combine that with opening a person up. So when you expand your vision, you expand your possibilities. And
Right.
so I may, a lot of coaching, they're doing it just virtually or in person, but they're just doing like talk talking through things or whatever. They're just
Right.
using their voice. I might send you and to tell you to get a mini trampoline and give you things to do on that. I might have you do certain vision exercises because when you do them and practice them, they become part of you, and then you just start to see things that you never saw before. There's even a few little exercises I usually teach right away that teaches people to really open up their vision, and they'll realize that as they're driving up and down the same road they drive to work every day, all of a
Hmm.
sudden they're saying, I didn't know that house had blue shutters. I didn't realize there was a dog in front of that house. All of a sudden, they're seeing these details and things they had never seen before, and they've driven by it for 3 years, but they never saw it. But now they're seeing it.
Yeah. Their mind's not open to all the possibilities. And you know what? We all get there. I was just my mom lives in the end of a circle, and everybody knows my mom's taking care of her. And we were driving out of the circle the other day, and I went, "Oh, what a cute playset! I wonder when they put that in." And my husband looked at me and he started to laugh and he said, well, we've been married 13 years. And the first time I came to your mom's, it was there. And I just went, I had never noticed that playset. And it's just, I mean, it's right there in front of you. And I don't know how I missed it. It just wasn't important to me. My mind was wandering on other things and I didn't have that clear open vision. And the fact that you have them jump on trampolines or lean against a wall and bounce the ball, I can see how that opens up not just their actual vision, but like their third eye
Mhm.
and the peripheral, um, metaphorically, to the other opportunities going on around them. I think that is fascinating.
Yeah, because I call it
Fascinating.
kind of call it your outer and your inner vision. So yeah, it opens up your imagination, opens up, because we also do visualization, and so I, as far as I know, no one is doing anything like what I'm doing.
No, I've not heard of it at all. So, and I know a lot of people are going, "Ooh, I'm interested." So, what's the best way for them to contact you to say, "Hey, I'm interested"?
Um, just on Facebook or LinkedIn.
And it's just under Kimberly Linert.
Hmm.
And that's you got it on the screen, KIMBERLEYLINERT. So yeah, just look up Kimberly and send her a message and say, "Tell me more, tell me more." And I'm still looking, going, "Oh, this is fascinating. So tell me more."
Yeah, and I was going to say, the group that it's just a new group that I just started. If you feel like you fit in that category, a successful heart-centered person, and you would really like to come, then just let me know and we'll have a conversation. I would just make sure that that would be the best thing for you and for us. So
Oh, I love that. I love that you care enough about people to take care of them and not just throw them into situations that might not be the best for them. And that is very commendable. So awesome. Kudos to you on that.
thank you.
Well, what other advice would you have for our listeners for having a more fulfilled life and feeling feeling the joy that you get to feel?
So, we talked a lot today about being of service to other people. Yet, the advice I give everyone whenever I have a similar question is this: love yourself first, take care of yourself first. You cannot serve from an empty bucket. You've got to take care of yourself. So, family is important, your career is important, money is important. Um, but if you are not well in all the
Yeah,
areas, that's why my book in every area of your life, if you're not well or happy in all the areas of your life, it's really hard to be of service, to help other people. It's really hard to be a good mom or dad or grandparent or boss. It's really hard to be of service or help other people or take care of other people when you haven't
right.
taken care of yourself. And by taking care of yourself, I mean in all the ways, and I know there's people from all different religions and stuff on here, but I mean your faith, whatever that is, your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, and also your connections with people. You've got to have
Yeah,
connections, even if it's one good friend. Everyone needs a connection. I don't believe in hermits. I don't think they're very healthy. In fact, when
yeah.
I studied and researched for this book, the most important thing for happiness and joy in life is
Uh-huh.
being connected to other people, to feel like you're connected and that you're needed. So even if you
Mm,
have someone who's older and let's say, I don't know, they're wheelchair bound, and if their only job is to smile or to hold the grandchild's hand, that's their job. Everyone needs a job, everyone needs a purpose. I don't mean like a career job, but everyone needs a
yeah.
purpose, a reason to be here. And we need you every season that you're in. Sometimes, some seasons we can do a lot, some seasons we can do just one thing, but we all have to be connected and helping each other. And that's what gives you the joy, the happiness, the fulfillment.
You said something that sparked a thought in my mind, and I my mind goes in circles and thinks odd things, I'll be honest right up front. But as you were talking about, we got to take care of ourselves. It occurred to me that sometimes we need to look at ourselves as if we have a split personality, um, and I'm the other person, and so I've got to now take care of the other person. And part of, I mean, we all hear greater to give than to receive. Their blessings in giving, blah blah blah. If somebody's not receiving, nobody can give and get blessings. And part of that taking care of yourself and part of that generosity and part of that serving is being willing to receive. And you've got to, like you said, you got to fill yourself up before you have anything to give to anyone else. And I think that is such wonderful advice that you gave us. um, what are some of the best ways that somebody can serve themselves, somebody can really make themselves healthy mentally, physically, financially, however? But how do they make themselves healthy so that they have enough health and strength to help other people?
Um, One of the things I ask myself um, sometimes is, what would I like right now? Like this moment. What would I like right now? What would make me feel good, happy? Just simple things. I mean, sometimes it's like I just want to sit down and take a breath because I've been running all day.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's, being a woman, I like to take baths with my candles.
Uh-huh.
and relax. Sometimes it's I want to call a friend or I want to call my grandma, you know, and talk to them, or I want to go to lunch with a friend, or it'd be great. I love to exercise. Everybody's different on that, but I love to exercise. So for me, getting on my rower and rowing with some music, I mean, so I think you just have to ask yourself, what would make me feel good right now in this moment? I mean, you can do all this planning because, I do planning around my workout, and I'm going to read my Bible here, and I'm going to, you have that plan,
Right.
if you will. But when it comes down to it, what do you want in this moment? And it's usually something so easy, so simple. It's usually not some big complicated thing.
Wow, I like that. Like right now, I want a sugar-free popsicle. I love my sugar-free popsicles. And, I mean, and that's so silly, but you know what? I would feel a sense of taking care of if I went and got me out of the freezer, and I can do it myself. Nobody needs to bring it to me. If I went and got me a sugar-free popsicle, that, and
Mhm.
I have to sit calmly and focus on not all of the trials of the world, but just on me for 1 second while I eat that, because I don't want to get it all over the place. And
Mhm.
that's my moment of respite. So
Mhm.
I like how you said that. This one thing, what do you want at this moment? And that is profound. That is profound. Well, we are just about at that time, but I want to again tell us some of the things that people can do to work with you and how they contact you again. And then I want you to leave us with one more piece of advice, be it a quote or anything else, your own or someone else's. And let's just go ahead and get that information out there again.
Sure. So I'm going to start with my book. So I love this book. I've said before that even a young person can read this and understand it. It's written simply but easy to follow. So it's a step-by-step guide to creating a life that you love, and it starts out by asking, "What do I like? Who am I? What do I like? What's important to me? What are my values? And what things do I want in my life, what things do I not want in my life, what people do I want in my life, what do I not?" And then it shows you how to put it all together, and it's a workbook, so it actually has these questions that you answer, and you definitely want to answer them, because at the end, all of the things you've written, you need all that to put together
Uh huh.
your life, because you've done the work little by little. The other thing in the book is it has stories at the end of each chapter of people and how they found happiness in their life, which is different for every person. So I
Absolutely.
highly recommend you pick up a copy of this book. Also, you can go on my website and there's a free book link if you just want the PDF. If you want the nice colorful cover, you have to go to Amazon. But if you don't mind and you just want the PDF, you can go to my website and it's on there. Um, Also, I'm always on the lookout for amazing people who can inspire others to be on my podcast. So if you think you would be a good candidate for that, please let me know. If you are interested in being part of my intimate group that I'm starting, or working with me one on one, Facebook or LinkedIn works, or you can reach me at Dr. Kimberley Linert at gmail.com. I think I said that right. That's why I said Facebook or LinkedIn's probably easier. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to work with people. And also, my background is in vision, and there are some people that would like to, get out of glasses and things like that. So I've been thinking about putting together some classes where I show you exercises you can do to eliminate your eyeglass prescription. So if you're interested in that, also let me know.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that because I'm fine unless I'm really looking at my computer a lot. And then it's like, okay, I got to put on my old lady glasses. So, Kimberly, give us one more piece of advice, even if it's a repeat of something, because you had so much wisdom and so many great nuggets.
I think one of the most important things to remember in life is never give up. I have a poem in my closet where I have my clothes. It's been there for
Yeah.
20 years, and it's that poem about never giving up. There's actually a poem about it, but it doesn't matter what happens. If there's something that you really love, desire, want to happen, the only people who will fail are the people who give up. So just never give up. Be persistent. Just keep going and you'll get it.
Oh, I love that. Never give up. Dr. Kimberley Linert, never give up. Great quote, and something wonderful to remember you by. And again, I love that you shared we got to take care of ourselves. And I love just smile. And I love what you did with your college group and just picking people up, just lifting their spirits with something small and minor, a card, something. So, a lot of great advice and nuggets. And I really, really appreciate you being on the show today.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it and I loved your questions. Some of them very hard questions, but thank you.
I do that sometimes. I really appreciate you being on the show and all of you joining us today. I am so thankful that you've been on the show today. And if you've not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe and then join us every Wednesday for Power Surge at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And don't forget, we have Karenisms on Monday at the same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. That being said, thank you again, Dr. Kimberley Linert, and I love all of you, and mwah, ciao for now. Thank you for joining me for yet another fabulous Power Surge Empowering Journeys with Dr. Karen Perkins, where we tell you stories of transformation and wonderful experiences that will help motivate you and empower you to see better things in your own life. And each week, I'm so grateful for the guests that we have on, and I'm sure that you love them as well. And now, if you want to know more about me or about any of my resources, please be sure and check out my website at drkarenperkins.com. Again, that's Dr. Karen, Karen, Perkins, Perkins.com. And if you want to have a free consultation, go ahead and schedule that. And we will talk to you soon. I hope to see you in a coaching program or get one of the resources or even a consultation. Ciao for now.